Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Insight Thursday. If you haven't done so, please answer the poll survey in your screen. So our topic for today is Neuro-linguistic Programming, or NLP. If some of you remember, we had the same topic last year, but the focus was how NLP could help us deal with stress during the pandemic or during the COVID-19. So for today, we will learn how NLP helps us appreciate our current choices and how to further expand our choices in life gracefully and gratefully. So before I call on our speaker for today, just want to remind you that you may use the chat box or raise your hand and unmute your audio for your questions. As we have limited time, please don't hesitate to send any questions that you may have during the discussions. We don't have any presentation for today, more of a discussion and interaction with all of you. So as mentioned by Irish, please turn on your camera so we can have a fruitful and interactive session. So now I call on our NLP expert for today, a former ADB staff and now an ADB consultant and an NLP instructor, Miss Irish de Guzman. So over to you, Irish.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beth, and good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for choosing to be with us this afternoon. So, our topic, we only have 20 minutes of it. We're going to talk about change. And if you guys recall, about a month ago, we celebrated the Festival of Change. Yeah. And in the Festival of Change, we had Mr. Deepak Chopra. And um, in that session with him, one of the questions that was asked is, how do we make change sustainable? In other words, how do we make it stick? And oh my gosh, we wish each of us had asked that question to Deepak Chopra, yeah? Because for the most part, a lot of us, we cognitively know there are some things that are good for us and we aim for that. We try to reach for that. But either one of two things happen. Either for some reason we can't get it, or we get it, but somehow, maybe it's there for like a week, maybe a month, and then we go back to how we were performing before. In other words, we go back to our patterning because, and here's the thing, is that in order for us to sustain change, we have to know the patterning first that got installed that lets us know to behave the way that we do. Right? So, let me ask you, how did you know to have lunch at a certain time every day? Or how do you know, for example, to wake up at a certain time every day? What lets you know to feel frustrated about certain things? And what lets you know to be happy about certain things? Yeah, it's patterning, it's programming. And that's the NLP, that's the P part of neuro-linguistic programming, because NLP is all about the study of the structure of human experience. Wow, human experience has structure? Yes, it has structure. What does that mean? All of our experience have thoughts, feelings, and actions. Okay? And thoughts, feelings, and actions have smaller components. And these smaller components in turn have smaller components and smaller components and smaller components. And it's important for us to understand that structure so that we know at what particular point or at what particular component we can shift in order for us to have new experiences. Okay? What am I talking about? What does that mean? Structure of human experience. So, in order for you guys to better appreciate what I mean, let's do a little exercise. Okay? Beth, the poll was up, no? Do we have the results? Okay.
Yeah.
So 82% saw pictures and 18% heard sounds. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you guys for answering the poll. So, Could you please recall that pleasant experience that you chose when that poll came up? In coming up with that particular experience, you have had to go through several experiences in your head internally, yes? Until you finally decided, yeah, okay, so this is the experience that I would like. Yes, that's fine, Joe. Sorry, just to answer this question, that's fine. So that's not the end all and be all. When we come up with our experiences, it comes up in at least one of 5 ways, either as pictures, as sounds, as feelings, as smells, or as tastes. Yeah, and we're going to explore that. Okay, so could you please, and I hope that you chose not your favorite experience, because we're going to be playing around with the structure of that experience. Okay, so just choose, maybe you had a nice coffee, a nice talk. So that picture of that experience is there right now. Yes. Okay, so have that in front of you. And could you please notice whether the picture is colored or black and white? Okay. And could you please, if it's colored, remove the color until it becomes black and white. And notice whether there is any shift in the feeling that you have for that experience. Yeah? Okay, so could you please put back the color and adjust it so that the feeling of pleasantness comes up again? Maybe it changed, maybe it didn't. Okay? And we're going to see now, what if we notice the brightness? Could you notice how bright that picture is? Okay, and I want you to imagine that there's a brightness dial in front of you. And could you please turn that dial down so that the brightness goes out? And notice how the meaning or the feeling changes as you change the brightness. Okay, thank you. So could you please turn up the brightness dial again, so that it goes back and you have that feeling of pleasant, and set it at a level that you would like so that you feel pleasant about that experience again. Thank you very much. Okay, so one more. Could you please try to see how far away that picture is from you? So for some of us, the picture would be like this close, but for others, it would be like at arm's length. Okay. And I'm going to ask you to please try to push that picture far away from you, maybe all the way to the sun. Push it all the way to the sun. And just try to see whether there's any change in the meaning or the feeling of that experience coming up for you. Okay? I know I'm asking your brain to do a lot of mental gymnastics, but see, our brain is behaving in a certain way. So could you please put that picture back so that the feeling of pleasantness comes back again? Yeah. My son does this. This helps us. Yeah, this helps us. My son does this. For example, if he sees a YouTube video that's particularly disturbing for him, and he wants to not be afraid anymore, he puts that picture in front of him, shoots it all the way to the end of the universe, totally disintegrates the picture. Yeah. What does this tell us? It tells us two things. One is that our experiences are explorable because there are components in our experiences. Okay. And second, it tells us that our experiences, exploring that, we have choice about how we would like to experience our experiences. Okay, so in other words, these experiences that we have, we experience and generate them now. What do you mean? I had the experience this morning. Yes, you had the experience this morning, but you are experiencing it now. And you have choice about how you would like to experience that experience now. The way that, if I ask you what made that particular experience pleasant for you, us being the humans that we are, some of us are going to say, oh, because the people that I was with in that experience are the people that I love, or because that place was memorable for me. But really, a huge part of it is because our brain is programmed to come up with that experience in a certain way. And as you found out, we can train our brain so that we could modify the experience so that we could experience it differently now. So, can you imagine people, for example, who had had an experience of worthlessness, or of people who have had experiences of being shamed, or people who, for example, hold the belief that, oh, you know what, they're all just going to be better off without me. Okay? People who have had that experience has programming that's running in the background where it belongs. Yeah, this is programming that's running in the background that's letting us know to behave the way that we do now. The problem is that patterning got installed in the past, and that patterning got installed when we were young. When we were young, we didn't have much experience about the world. And yet, because of our experiences then, we generalize the world to be in a certain way. We have to, otherwise, we wouldn't make sense of the world. Yeah, we have to make sense of how to live life. And so, when we were very young, we made decisions about the world. We generalized the world, we deleted some stuff, and we distorted some meanings in order for us to function the way that we do. The problem is the programming that was installed when we were very, very young needs updating now, because we know from where we are now, we know new things, we have added new resources, but we haven't updated the programming that's running in the background. So if you ask me, how do you want to make change sustainable? Study the programming that's running in the background, update it. Okay. One of the things as well that is worthy of note is that the choices that we make them because these are the best feeling options at the moment. No exceptions. Okay. People make choices because these are the best feeling options in that moment. What does that mean? They could have made better choices, yes, but given all of their experiences, all of their knowledge, their strengths, their weaknesses, their beliefs, everything that they had, the choice that they made, the way that they behave is the best feeling option at that moment. If they had better options, they would have gone for better options. Okay, it's just that at that moment, that was the best feeling option that they had. Okay, so a lot of the time, cognitively, we know that we could reach for something better, but structurally, there's something in our programming that is causing us to not reach for it or to settle where we are, to stay safe. Because we'll find out that the programming that we chose when we were very, very young, we chose them to be safe, to help us to survive. The thing is, the programming keeps running still, and we feel that a lot of it is no longer useful for us, and we would like other things. So, because we're always reaching for the best feeling option, we cannot learn to make new choices. We can't. What we can do is to expand our menu of options. Okay? If you notice in the exercise earlier, we didn't delete anything. It was the exact same experience. It's just that we modified some of the components so that the experience comes up differently for us now. Yeah, isn't that interesting? It's so, um, it's to make us aware of that choice, that we have choice about how we would like to experience that experience now. Um, and the reason why we came to be where we are is because there were choices that were made when we were young that allowed us to feel safe. Okay. So, first of all, appreciate and respect the choices that we made when we were very, very young. And be grateful. Be grateful to that little one for choosing to survive the way that they did. Okay. And only in really respecting that experience will we be able then to sincerely and authentically go forward so that we can reach for new experiences. Eventually, you'll find out that the aim of NLP is for us to be in better and better and better rapport with ourselves. Most of the time, we kind of fight. Yeah, we have this internal struggle within us. It's like, I want this, and yet this is where I am. Yeah. And a lot of the self-help that's available out there kind of encourages it. Like conquer your weaknesses and overcome your lapses or your weaknesses, yeah, or think positive. Okay. Um, but that kind of approach only gets you so far. If you want to have new experiences, you have to change something in the patterning in order to allow you to reach for new experiences. Okay. Um, you will also notice that when I asked you to recall an experience, your eyes would have gone all over the place. Yeah. If I asked you, for example, recall how many windows you had at home when you were young, yeah, your eyes would kind of, yeah. In order for us to think, our eyes need to go somewhere, right? We need that. In order to access that particular file in our brain, our eyes need to go somewhere. And this is one of the very, very nice observations that the founders of NLP discovered. And why is that useful for us? Because when we know that, for example, when people look up, they're seeing a picture. And where they're looking to the side like this, yeah, they're hearing a sound. And usually it's a voice of authority. Yeah. And when people are looking down, they're usually talking to themselves or they're accessing their feelings. It's important for us to know this because it allows us sort of one foot inside the door of somebody's map. It allows us to explore how they're experiencing that experience. So, for example, if I see somebody looking up, I could ask them, well, what's your brain seeing up there? What are you looking at up there? Yeah. Imagine if you were talking to somebody and you allowed that experience, yeah, to appreciate that when people access something, they are experiencing an experience. You don't know what they're seeing, you don't, but you just know they're seeing a picture or they're hearing a sound. And I actually had a client who, for some reason, apparently there's a voice that's telling him not to be happy. Whenever he tries to be happy, he feels guilty about being happy. So I asked him, what lets you know to feel guilty? And he said, well, there's this voice that's kind of, telling me, stop it. Okay, so could you please dial down that voice? Yeah. How's that experience coming up for you? So if we want to go towards change, we have to explore the patterning that let us know to be where we are now. And we want to do that in order to build better and better rapport with ourselves, with who we were, with who we are, and with whom we would like to be. Okay? So Neuro-linguistic programming is a way, a framework for us to do that. Is that all there is in NLP? Oh my gosh, no. There's so much more to explore, okay? But because we only have 20 minutes this afternoon, I would invite you to join us. This afternoon, actually, we have an introduction to NLP. It's a 2-hour session where we expound on this topic some more. You may register through Maharlika NLP at our intro page, NLP intro. Visit our website at maharlikanlp.com or our Facebook page. In the search bar, just type at Maharlika NLP, or you could send us an email at inquire@maharlikanlp.com. Okay, so I hope you guys are able to then go out. And when you talk to somebody this afternoon, go ahead and look at their eyes and notice where it's looking. Are they looking up? Are they looking down? Are they seeing a picture? Are they hearing a sound? Okay. And that allows you, that tells you something. Okay. All right. So, Deb?
Thank you. Thank you. That's very interesting, Arish.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from our
Yes, please.
participants for today? Let me go first.
Mm.
So how do you program your brain to stop regretting from the choices you made?
One thing, the choices that we chose them because they were the best choice at that time. Nothing to regret. Okay? Nothing to regret. Understand that at that time, that was the best choice on your menu in that moment, in that moment, and in that moment. It's just that now, looking back at it, you understand that there are other resources that could have been made available. Okay? So, looking back at that particular moment, you could ask yourself, what resources do I know now that could have been useful at that time? Okay. What resources could I tap onto that would be useful for me going forward? And bring that resource to that younger version of you. Yeah. Go ahead and bring that resource and tell that younger version of you, this is available. And yes, we can do it this way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Did I answer your question, Beth?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then to take it forward as well. Yeah. So bring that you now forward and
Mhm,
see whether that resource could be installed as well.
mhm,
Yeah. So sort of give it a test run and
mhm.
see if that resource works for you going forward as well. But thank you first to be curious, yeah, and just to appreciate all of our experiences, because all of our experiences have helped to put us where we are now. Okay,
Okay, thank
the
you. So,
choices that we made were there because we were protecting ourselves in the past, in the past, in the
mm,
past. Yeah.
okay, thank you. We have a question from
Mm.
Rafael. So how does one becomes a pro at taking chances, stepping out of one's comfort zone?
How does a pro, sorry, could you repeat that, Beth? How does
How
one become a
does
pro
a pro at taking chances,
at taking
stepping
chances?
out of one's comfort zone?
Stepping out of one's comfort zone. Um, Change, I think, as I mentioned in the verb, is often scary. Okay. Um, how can you become a pro? I will ask, how do you define what a pro is? What is your definition of a pro? Because my definition of a pro in my map may be different from your definition of a pro in your map. And that's why NLP allows us to explore people's maps. If I had the person who asked the question in front of me, I would have loved to explore that particular point of reference for you. What lets you know to be a pro about stepping out? Um, lots of reframes. What let you know to stay safe in the first place? Yeah, what is the feeling that's coming up for you when you feel like stepping out and taking a risk or taking a chance? Is it, are you apprehensive? Are you afraid? Are you scared? What's the feeling that's coming up for you? Because again, there's an experience coming from somewhere in your background that lets you know to feel that way. So to be curious, when was the earliest time that you experienced that feeling of being apprehensive about taking risks? And oops, yep, I remember. There is an experience. How do these experiences come up in the first place? There's a number of ways. One is we inherit them through generations, right? As a society, we kind of inherit these particular beliefs from our ancestors. That's one. Another one is we kind of learned them as we sat on the knees of our parents, so to speak. Yes. And then the third one is a large chunk of it is really through our experiences. And a lot of these experiences, particularly those from the ages of 0 to 6, these have kind of set us up, have set up our programming. And we made decisions about the world, as I mentioned. And that lets us know to keep on running these programs in the background. Okay.
Okay, so there's Raphael, did Irish answer your question? Are you fine with the answer? Okay, so we'll just go to the next question.
Yes.
How is this connected to emotional intelligence, specifically self-awareness?
Yeah. It is right at the heart of self-awareness. It is right there. Um, I cannot emphasize how important it is for us to be self-aware. What does that mean? Does that mean that in every moment we are currently in the moment and we know all of the choices that's available for us? I mean, I know there may be a Buddhist monk somewhere, maybe Deepak Chopra is there already. We're not that person. Okay, we're meant to run programming automatically in the background. Okay, so to be able to explore that programming in order to understand how we came to be first and to be grateful for that, please. Okay, to say thank you. There's a reason why we chose our choices when we were very, very young. And most of it is because we wanted to survive. If we had not chosen the way that we would have, it would have been such a terrifying experience. But because we had to survive, and please give yourself a pat on the back for choosing to survive. Yeah, up until now, 100%. Okay, so if we explore that and really come to appreciate that, we expand then our menu of choices and we activate new ones. We explore new ones more authentically, more sincerely, more gratefully, more gracefully as well, and more gently. Let's be gentle with ourselves. Yeah. No internal struggles.
Thank you, Irish. Are
Mm.
you fine, JP, with the answers?
In NLP classes, we do a lot of that exploration. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think, are there any more questions? I think there's none, Irish. So thank you everyone for your
Thank
participation in
you.
this
Thank you.
session. I hope this helps you in in appreciating the choices you make and how we can use our experiences to move forward and be the person we would like to be.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you again, Iris.
Thank
Any
you.
last
Maraming
words?
salamat po.
Mm-mm.
Thank you very much. Please, please, please be gentle with yourself. Okay? Love yourself. Love yourself. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you, Iris. Bye.